You know, you look at a T20 match like this on paper. Sunrisers Hyderabad was Kolkata Knight Riders, over 380 runs scored, huge sixes, plenty of drama. You'd think, wow, what a classic. But when you look past the fireworks and actually dive into the data, it tells a completely different story. So let's break it down. Okay, check this out. This number is the Humdinger score. It's a metric analysts use to rate how exciting a match really was. And this game, a 1.4 out of 10. I mean, that's shockingly low. So that's the big question we're tackling. How on earth can a match with so much action be, statistically speaking, one of the most one-sided, boring blowouts of the entire season? Let's find out.
And right away, the final result kind of gives the game away, doesn't it? SRH puts up a massive 226, and KKR, well, they get bundled out for 161. A 65-run win in T20 cricket, that's not just a victory, that is a demolition. The huge score from one side completely masked what was, in reality, a total mismatch. So how did SRH build a total that was basically impossible to chase from the get-go?
Let's dig into how SRH put together this monster score. The story really begins where it so often does in modern T20s, the power play. And this chart, wow. It really puts the scale of their opening attack into perspective. The average power play in the IPL gets you about 55 runs. SRH hammered 84. They weren't just a little bit ahead of the curve, they were playing a completely different game. That surplus of almost 30 runs in just the first 6 overs created so much scoreboard pressure that it shaped the entire rest of the match. The two masterminds behind this were the openers, Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma, a duo fans have nicknamed Travishek. And just look at these numbers, 82 runs off only 34 balls, a strike rate of over 240. I mean, this wasn't just scoring runs, this was a psychological beatdown of the KKR bowlers before the game had even settled. But, you know, after that insane start, SRH actually had a bit of a wobble. They slipped to 118 for 4. And for a second, you might have thought, okay, maybe they end up with 190, a score that's gettable. But this is where what analysts call a load-bearing partnership saved them. Heinrich Klaassen and Atish Reddy just calmly put on another 82 runs, stabilized everything, and made sure that incredible start wasn't wasted. All right, let's switch over to KKR's chase, because for all of SRH's batting firepower, the match was mathematically decided by one single moment of absolute fielding brilliance. One throw that, for all intents and purposes, ended the game. So let's just set the scene here. KKR are 120 for 3. They need 107 to win from 54 balls. Look, it's a tough ask, no doubt. But with a set batsman in and plenty of wickets left, is the game still on? You'd have to say yes, right? On paper, this chase is absolutely still possible. But the numbers tell us it was just about to be over. And this was the moment. Ankrish Raghuvanshi, who was KKR's best player that day, gets run out by a laser beam direct hit from a 19-year-old on debut, Shivam Kumar. A single piece of fielding from the youngest guy on the field completely flips the script. And just watch how fast everything fell apart after that. At 10.6 overs, Raghuvanshi's out. 2 scoring balls later, before they've even added another run, another wicket falls. Bam, 120 for 5. Just a couple of overs after that, their last real hope is gone, and the whole chase just disintegrates. They're all out with 4 whole overs left. It was a total collapse. And if you want to see just how big that moment was in pure numbers, look at this. That one run-out caused KKR's win probability to drop by almost 57%. That was the single most decisive moment of the entire match. It wasn't just about losing their set batsman. It triggered a total loss of confidence. All the other wickets combined didn't have the same statistical impact as that one throw. So with that one throw as the turning point, let's zoom out a little and look at the whole anatomy of KKR's failed chase. Why couldn't they even put up a fight after that? Well, KKR's entire strategy was a huge gamble. They sent in their explosive impact sub, Finn Allen, to open, and for a moment it was breathtaking. Allen goes out and smashes 28 runs from just 7 bowls. But he gets out on that 7th ball, and the entire plan is just gone. It was a firework that provided a spectacular flash and then immediately fizzled out. And this table here really tells the whole story of the game in 3 simple parts. You can see SRH just owned the 2 phases that matter most. They won the power play by a ridiculous 9 runs and over, and they absolutely dominated the death overs. KKR did a little better in the middle, but who cares? It was completely irrelevant, bookended by total dominance from SRH.
And the difference in strategy couldn't be clearer than when you compare the two teams' impact subs. KKR went for the all-or-nothing home run with Finn Allen, which gave them a few seconds of excitement and then failure. Meanwhile, SRH brought in a bowler, Ishan Malinga, who quietly took 2 key wickets for just 14 runs. One team's tactical sub won them the match, the others crippled their own chase. Okay, now for some fun. Let's play a game of What If. We're going to look at 2 counterfactuals that show us exactly where the real turning points of this match were. So, first up, what if KKR's big bet had actually paid off? If Finn Allen had just survived those first few overs and played a normal innings, the projection models show the entire result would have flipped. KKR wouldn't have just made it close. They probably would have won by about 20 runs. It just goes to show their whole strategy lived and died in those 7 deliveries. And what about SRH's innings? What if their power play had just been good, instead of historically great? Well, the final target would have been closer to 200. And let me tell you, chasing 200 is a completely different psychological challenge than chasing 227. That early explosion of runs didn't just pad the score. It created a sense of hopelessness that made every KKR mistake feel like the end of the world. And all of this brings us back to this one key idea, the inflection point. It's just a single moment in time that marks a decisive, irreversible change. And in this game, a game filled with superstars and complicated strategies, that moment was one perfect throw from the outfield. So the story of this thriller that really wasn't is actually pretty straightforward. SRH's incredible batting at the start created a massive cushion, and that cushion meant the game wasn't won by more big hitting, but by one perfect piece of fielding that just slammed the door shut on any hope KKR had. And maybe that's the coolest takeaway from all this. In a high-tech, high-stakes scheme defined by its million-dollar superstars and strategic geniuses, the final result, the whole story, was written not by a famous slugger, but by a 19-year-old kid on his first day, and his one perfect throw.